Let's be honest, in today's world, it is absolutely not a question of if your company will face a cyber attack. It's a question of when. And look, when that day comes, just having a plan isn't going to cut it. You have to know for sure that your team can actually execute it under fire. So let's dive into this and figure out how you can get truly ready for what's coming. You know, the ancient strategist Sun Tzu really hit the nail on the head with this one. The absolute worst time to try and figure out your game plan is when you're smack in the middle of a crisis. No way. The real work, the stuff that actually saves your business, it happens way before the attack ever hits. When things are nice and calm, that's when you build your armor. Okay, so you probably have an incident response plan, right? It's probably beautiful, detailed, sitting in a folder on a server somewhere. And that's a great start. But have you ever really put it to the test? I mean, really tested it. Does your team actually know what to do when the alarms are blaring, the pressure is on, and every single second counts? See, a plan on paper is just a theory. A real crisis, well, that demands practice. So how in the world do you practice for a total disaster without actually having one? Well, you do it the same way you prepare for a fire. You run a drill. A cyber fire drill. And this is where we get to introduce a really powerful tool for this, the Cybersecurity Tabletop exercise. So what is a tabletop exercise? Well, think of it as a guided walkthrough of a potential crisis. It's like a war room simulation, but without the actual war. In this totally controlled, low-stress setting, your team gets to talk through exactly how they'd respond, test the chain of command, and, this is so important, build that crucial muscle memory they'll need to react instinctively when a real attack happens. And here's the thing. These exercises are not a one-size-fits-all deal. Nope, they've got to be tailored to who's in the room. So an executive-level exercise, that's all about the big picture, strategic decisions, how you're going to communicate with the public, the bottom-line business impact. Then you have an operational one, which tests how well departments like IT, legal, and HR can actually work together. And finally, you get technical. That's where you get into the weeds, testing the hands-on response of your security folks. Okay, so let's actually step inside this war room for a minute and see how one of these exercises really plays out. It's a very structured process, and it's specifically designed to show you where the cracks are in your team and your plans before a real attacker does. A really good exercise always follows a clear path. First, you define your goals. What are you trying to test? Then you get the right people in the room, and you create a threat scenario that's actually believable. Now, having a skilled facilitator is absolutely key. This is the person who guides the conversation and throws in little curveballs to keep everyone on their toes. After the exercise itself, the most important part happens, the debrief. That's where you break down what went right, what went wrong, and most importantly, how you're going to fix it. So who exactly gets an invitation to this war room? Well, you might be surprised, it is not just the tech gurus. A major cyber incident is a full-blown business crisis, which means you need everybody. You need the C-suite there to make the big calls. You need your incident response and disaster recovery teams, obviously, but you also need your legal team to handle compliance, and you definitely need your PR team to manage the story. It's a true team effort. All right, let's make this real. The facilitator kicks things off with a scenario. An employee clicked a bad link in an email, and now every single file on your network is encrypted, locked. Operations have completely ground to a halt. This is the moment the clock starts ticking. And then this message pops up on the screen. $5 million in Bitcoin. It's a classic, terrifying ransomware attack. The message is crystal clear. The threat feels very, very real, and now the team in that room has to figure out what on earth to do next. And that leads to the really impossible question. In this case, the $5 million question. Do you pay? I mean, what are the legal ramifications? Can you even trust these criminals to give you your data back? Do your backups actually work? Have you tested them? See, this one question forces the team to face all the huge gaps between their nice, neat written plan and the messy, chaotic reality of a crisis. Now, what's really interesting is that these tabletop exercises are evolving too. They're starting to move beyond just talking and are becoming much more interactive, much more hands-on, and a whole lot more valuable. So your traditional exercise is all about discussion. It's theoretical. And don't get me wrong, it's fantastic for testing communication and decision-making. But the next frontier is the hands-on simulation. These exercises actually use virtual lab environments to test not just what your team would say they would do, but what they can actually do. It's practical, it's action-based,
and it gives you real, hard, data-driven insights into what your team's truly capable of. So why would you go through all this effort? Because the payoff for being prepared is just enormous. This is so much more than a security drill. It's a fundamental investment in the resilience of your entire business.
And the benefits are things you can actually see and feel. You'll sharpen your team's coordination. You'll find and fix the flaws in your response plan. And you'll build that all-important muscle memory we talked about. This gives your team the confidence to act without hesitating in a real crisis. Plus, you proactively find vulnerabilities before the bad guys do. And this is a big one. You satisfy a growing list of regulatory requirements. Yeah, on that last point, this isn't just a best practice anymore. It's actually becoming a requirement. Major compliance frameworks, like the ones from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, plus ISO and financial regs like DORA and the FCA, they are now mandating these kinds of resilience tests. So being prepared isn't just smart business. In many cases, it's actually the law. And you just have to look at the adoption rate to see where this is all going. Just one cybersecurity firm, as an example, has delivered over 400 of these exercises for some of the biggest brands in the world. We're talking about organizations like FIFA, Formula One, and huge global banks. The best, most prepared organizations on the planet are doing this. They know they literally can't afford not to. So, this all brings us to the final question you really have to ask yourself. Your incident response plan, it probably looks perfect sitting there in that folder. I'm sure it's comprehensive, detailed, maybe even color-coded. But has it ever actually been in a fight? Because the only way to know if you're truly ready is to put your plan and your people to the test.